know you're crazy, but I only wanna be with you. You think I'm shady cause I'm out here trying to make some moves, but it ain't like that. Just know that I'll be right back. I'll give you all my time just to let you know you're mine. It ain't nothing. Promise I'ma do it all to give you something. This love I got is only for you. You're my comfort, my future husband. I'ma give you all my heart, yeah, all of it, yeah. Baby, I know that I gotta come fix it. You the only nigga that I be missing. Swear I'm coming home to give you the business. Turn off my phone, it can leave me a message. I'ma just cover your body with kisses, kisses. Rub your body down, you know that I miss it, miss it.
All right. Welcome to Happy Hour with Lito. I'm your host. My special guest today is female up-and-coming boxing champion. Yeah, I said it. Boxing champion, Melanie Timko. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really well today. So I like to have conversation. I don't necessarily like to just, make it an interview kind of thing, right? So, with that being said, I like to check on my guests, you know what I mean? We've all had to deal with this pandemic in some form or fashion, of course. And, with you being a fighter, how have you been able to make it through the past year?
Well, now that we're kind of getting on the tail end of it, it's getting a lot better. When it first started, we didn't realize how long it was going to go on. And so, you didn't really think much of it. And you kind of had heard like the end of the summer. And I was like, okay, well, that's not so bad. But then when we kind of realized it was going to be a significant amount of time, I got kind of pretty bummed, once like gyms closed, and that's kind of like where I keep my mental status like in check, just working out, feeling good, doing all that. I mean, I was working out at home and that sort of thing, but just was not the same. The gym community was not there. And plus I'm a little bit older boxer. I'm 35 years old. So I just felt like I didn't have a year of my life to just kind of waste. And so kind of hits home a little bit hard. But then, like I said, now that we're getting at the end of it, I've already got both my vaccines, and USA Boxing is opening everything back up again. It's good. And you can kind of see the good things that come out of it. But yeah, going through it was tough.
How did you feel when you got your vaccine?
Kind of like I have a new leash on life. You can just relax a little bit more, I guess. We're kind of doing more in-person meetings like at work, and just kind of feeling a little more confident that you're not, kind of before you kind of felt like you were not supposed to be doing those things or seeing people. And so it was nice to be able to see my family again and not feel kind of like, man, am I putting you at risk? Are you putting me at risk? It was just a little bit of relief. And yeah, both my parents got it, too. So it just kind of felt a lot better once we kind of, like I said, get on the back end of this.
Gotcha. Any kind of side effects you get from it?
No, I got the Moderna shot, and I'm a little bit tired the first day. The first shot, my arm was like dead arm. So that next day, I had a hard time like getting dressed and like doing things. But then the second shot, it didn't hurt hardly at all. So not too bad. A little bit tired here and there, but I mean, compared to, because I got COVID in November, and so compared to the actual COVID, the shot is nothing. Like, and that's why I got the shot as soon as I was offered it. Like, I'm not doing that again. I'm not about to get COVID a second time. It weared on my body a lot, and it was hard to even just like do running and like little exercises. Even the month after, I could tell that my body still wasn't where it was at previous to that.
Wow. Okay. I'm still, weighing which one I'm, if I'm going to get it, which one I'm going to get. And, I've kind of been like a hermit crab, just been in the house.
Not really all that exposed. I can see that. And I've heard good things about Pfizer. I think that has a little bit less side effects, but I mean, definitely think if you get the COVID, you're not going to want to do it again. So it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah. And then they said the Johnson & Johnson one is getting recalled.
Yes. And so, yeah, like my sister hasn't gotten the shot yet. And she's like, see, that's why I'm going to wait. Cause I just want to see what transpires about all this. And I did get waiting a little bit. I think eventually, it's just going to be one of those normal vaccines that we all just get. But yeah, I can see work out some of the kinks before, getting it.
Yeah. So for people who may not know, who you are. Give us a little bit about your story before you ended up deciding that you wanted to become a fighter.
Well, I guess I kind of got into boxing in college. There was just like a dorm director, and she just was having like a twice a week class, super low key, just for like physical fitness, and it was $1 a class. And so that's where I kind of felt like, hey, I just want to be in shape or whatever, and kind of fell in love with it there. And then, fast forward, get out of college, kind of have a desk job, not eating right, not doing, what I should be. So getting kind of at the heaviest point that I had, and just kind of looking for something to do. So then I started doing like a fitness boxing place and really loved it and loved the technique of it. And then so Premier was suggested to me to go and actually maybe start thinking about maybe competing. And I was like, I don't know if I want to compete. And I was like, well, just go train, see what you like it. And so that's kind of how I got into boxing. But as far as like the competition side, it took me a while to want to do that, I guess. And so like my coach was like, you're ready for a fight. I was like, I don't think I'm not like anywhere close. He's like, so he kept bugging me. And then I don't know, he's like, just do one, just see what it's like. I'm like, all right, I'll just do one. So I'm thinking, my weight class is kind of small anyways. I'm like, all right, it'll be 6 months, a year before you get me a fight. And like the next month it's like they got me something ready. It's like, oh my god. So nervous. But once you get in there and you do your thing, and it's just nothing like it. So after that I was hooked, and then I was bugging him to get me fights, so
Wow.
Yeah.
So boxing is probably the most dangerous sport outside of football. You just chose boxing after, so basically just working out, and then you were kind of pushed into competing.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's like just try one match. And I've talked to other people, and the refs are there. In amateur boxing, they know that this is amateur level where nobody's trying to get killed, nobody's trying to get hurt, and for the most part I think the refs are really good about if there's a mismatch, they're gonna call it. You're gonna get an 8 count. You see somebody get their bell rung, they're counting right away. It's not quite like what you see on TV, the no headgear, the people stumbling around. We're like, call the fight. Like, refs at this level just don't let it get that far. So I still feel pretty confident about being safe about it with at the level I'm at.
Now, how does your family feel about you boxing?
My family totally supports it. They probably at first thought I'm a little crazy, but my family's really not like a nervous type of family. So my dad's like, yeah, let's do it. Like, he always asks, well, did you have fun? I'm like, yeah, I did have fun. So that's all his main concern is, like, are you having fun? Are you enjoying what you're doing? And yeah, my mom just acts like it's just nothing out of the ordinary. My husband sometimes gets a little nervous for me. I can tell, like, about ready to get to a fight. I'm like, you got to go to a different room because your light energy is making my energy feel all off. So yeah, he gets a little the most nervous for me. But
I mean, I can imagine. I mean, me having a fiance, if she told me that she's an MMA fighter, I mean, I would lose my mind,
Exactly. But it's like I said, it's all girls your weight class. It's all you've been training, you work hard for what you do. And so it's never like anything like, man, I'm like outside of my like comfort zone or level or anything like that. But yeah, the first fight I ever had, people were like, what are you doing? Like, 'cause I'm just such a introvert person, quiet person anyways. And so they're like, this is just not you. But you just fall in love with it, and that's that.
So how many fights have you had amateur?
I've had 10 fights. And then like I got 2 developments. So I guess 12 times I've been, in the ring.
Okay. And what's your current record?
It's 6-4.
Okay. Yeah, I heard you was real good. So, I was like, well, I gotta get her on.
It's a record, but we really haven't. I've had a lot of hard fights. My very first fight was with a girl that had, we both had 0 fights, so that was great. And then went straight from that to a development fight, which is basically they don't score it, but it's the same as a fight. You weigh in just like a fight, but they just don't score it. And that's because both of the girls, I guess, I think was underage, but she was in my weight class. We both like weighed up, and so they both had over 50 fights. So my goes from 0 to 100 like real quick. And then after that, went to Atlanta and fought a girl from the Army, and she had 8 fights, and she was tough. So it just had a lot of like, it just don't feel like I had a lot of like zeroed fights. It was just like, man,
you fight good people.
Good people all the time, So, and that's where you kind of learn this, during amateur boxing is when you learn this kind of stuff. So I guess I wouldn't have it any other way. I'd rather have these tough fights, now than later, I guess.
So, let's talk about one of your fights on a day, a typical day. So y'all weigh in the day before, right?
We win.
Oh, you weigh in the same day. Okay.
So you kind of have to be on point with your weight, because you really only get a few hours to hydrate and that sort of thing.
Now, how many pounds do they let you hydrate up?
What's that?
How many pounds do they let you rehydrate?
Well, just as long as you weigh in at whatever, and then I usually so I weigh in at 112, and then once I eat and drink everything, I probably gain about 4 pounds, I would say.
Okay. And do you have any kind of what gets you motivated today? Do you do something you have a ritual you do?
Not really. I guess every time is different. Sometimes I feel, walk into a place man, I feel confident, I feel good. You're kind of joking around. At other times I'm like, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't. So it's just really weird how, every fight's a little bit different. I think going into it, sometimes, okay, this is going to be a little bit easier fight, or, this person's style is, going to challenge mine or that sort of thing. I don't really, have a ritual per se, just try to chill out as much as I can until the last possible, okay, it's go time. Let's get amped up. Let's, get warmed up and that sort of thing. But, listen to some music sometimes, but I would say just kind of just try to keep my cool, kind of keep my composure. I think some people, really want to get, overly amped maybe, and so I kind of when you get in the ring, you don't want to burn all your energy right away. So I'm
right.
Okay, I know what I'm doing. I do this in practice. This is nothing different. Try to almost treat it like any other day kind of thing, not to get too worked up about it.
Do you still get butterflies?
Absolutely. And I don't know that will ever go away. I think it's a good thing to be a little bit just respectful of the sport in general. Hey, this is a big deal. So I think it's good to be nervous. It's kind of when you hit that over nervous stage, it's man, I just feel I can't sometimes, get the traction to do something, whatever. But for the most part, it feels like when you first get into the ring, that's when man, your nerves are at its highest. You're getting in the ring with somebody who's wanting to hurt you. And your coaches and your family's all on the outside. It's it's just you now. But then after the first hit, it tells me almost everything that I need to know about a fight. If they hit hard, if they don't, you really get okay, I've been trained for this. When they hit, you're oh, this is nothing different than what we've been doing for the past, 6 months or whatever. So it kind of just calm down then and then work your, trade.
You consider yourself, are you Orthodox or are you Southpaw?
I'm Orthodox. Yeah.
Orthodox. And so you lead behind your jab. So you just work your jab?
Every jab. My right hand's my moneymaker. So try to figure out where can I get that in here, the overhand right a lot. So once that starts landing, it's, that's kind of over. But, some people are good about getting away from that. So it's kind of okay, what do they have? What do I need to take away from them? Are they quick? Are they powerful? Do I need to move around more or try to adjust a little bit what you're doing? I really think it's good to still kind of fight my fight. Don't try to get wrapped up in what somebody else is doing too much. Just do what I know that I do best and make them kind of adjust to me.
Any plans to go pro?
I don't know. I've thought about it. I'd like to. Nothing definite yet. Maybe next couple of years. I would love to give it a shot. I think it'd be a lot of fun. One of the girls that I fought, I went to nationals, and one of the girls that I fought, she just turned pro. And so it's she can do it. I've already fought this girl. If she can do it, maybe I can too. And I think it would be definitely just a fun thing just to try and see. And I'm sure it's just kind of how boxing has been so far for me. It's just once you do it, okay, well now we're doing it. So just getting to that level and making sure that you're ready for that, next step and kind of, I've learned everything in the amateurs and then, move up to the next thing.
Right. One of the things that I read about a few years ago was they were afraid of people wearing the headgear because they were saying it was more dangerous wearing the headgear than without. Or do you believe that or how you feel about it?
Well, I guess it kind of does give you a false sense of security, but as far as cuts and things, I do think it really protects against that. I guess even just sparring without headgear makes me nervous. I just think because we've been so used to just wearing it in competition and sparring and everything. I do like that. It just feels a little bit more comfortable. You do kind of have to get used to it. You got to get a good fitting headgear. Some of the ones kind of protect a little bit more, and so they're block your vision a little bit more. And so you kind of like the open face ones when I compete, and Yeah, I like it, but yeah, I have heard that, it causes more concussions because people are willing to take more hits to the head, but I really don't like to take hits to the head, so I avoid it anyways. But yeah, I do like the fact that it will like protect against, cuts. And I think even like, a few black eyes here and there, it kind of protects against that.
Gotcha. So who right now, do you like to watch, professionally?
Oh, professionally, I guess the person that I've watched the most is probably Jackie Nava. She has kind of the same fight style as me. And when I first got into it, my coach was like, check her out and see what, she has to offer. So I've watched a lot of her fights. I know she's just a pro boxer from Mexico. And she's around my age. I think she's 40. So it's kind of like, I can relate a lot to her. As far as that, Katie Taylor is always, big one. She's just fun to watch. She's like one of those ones that just make it look easy. Like, how are you doing this with, very hard at it, but she just has that timing down and it makes it look fun. So those are the first two.
Do you watch the guys also?
A little bit, not as, and I don't really follow as much as maybe I should, but.
Cool. How do you feel about the landscape of like women's boxing today as opposed to how it used to be? Like, do you feel like, at least professionally, that women are starting to get paid like they should, as opposed to the men?
No, we got a long way to go. I mean, I just don't think that, I don't know if they're just not interested or, but she's not as, like, I don't understand why it's not as popular, because these girls are going to war just as much as the guys are. And so I don't understand why we're not even close. And like, you look at like a stadium, like one of the female fights, pre-COVID, obviously, and there'd just be like a ton of empty seats, and that's just, I think in the US that's crazy, but I know like in other places, like in Mexico, you watch like Jackie Nava's fights and she is the main event. She's in a stadium full of people. So I don't know if it's just a US thing or what, but I really think people should get behind it. It's a fun thing to watch. I don't know why it's just not there yet, but long way to go. But we have made some strides in it, but yeah.
Yeah, I like to watch the women fight. I mean, even in MMA, they always have good. I mean, and like Clarissa Shields, she has like good fights in Savannah. What's her last name? Marshall. She's really good too. She can fight really well, and it seems like, I mean, of course, we can't tell on television, but pre-COVID, you know what I mean. It seemed like there were a lot of people, attending those fights.
Yeah, and I think that is getting better and better, especially with the UFC kind of thing.
So what gym do you currently attend?
I train at a Premier Combat Center.
Premier Combat Center? Okay. And is that where you do you train with Ellie sometime, or?
Yep, I train with Ellie. I think she's there most of the time too. And then we also go over to Jackson's, our coach, also runs a nonprofit. So we go over there, and that actually has a ring. And so we go over there on Tuesdays and spar in the ring. And so yeah, I work with Ellie at least once a week, if not twice a week. So yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Have you guys have sparred, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yes, it's been fun to have another female, because up until now it's just been me and another girl, and so we kind of have sparred so much together that I know what she's doing, she knows what I'm doing, and so it's more like a chess match at this rate, So it was nice to bring another girl in and be like, okay, let's react to different things and just see a completely different style, which is so nice.
That's dope. So what type of specific qualities do you look for in a home gym? Like, what makes you comfortable?
I would just say, I guess for me, I like Premier, my coach is huge on just like believing in me and like pushing me, like just like knowing and just enough, like where I can try to keep doing something more, but it's still outside of my comfort zone, but it's not so far outside of my comfort zone that I feel overwhelmed. I mean, I feel comfortable that he's gonna like pick good matches for me, and I'm not gonna throw me into something that I'm not ready for. So I would just say coaching is, probably 100% what makes me feel comfortable. If I can trust, who's in my corner with me, you definitely need that. So
for sure. Do you have any fights coming up?
We are going to Atlanta in June, very beginning of June. So I'm super excited. It's an all-female tournament, which I'm stoked about. I just love the all-female feel to it. Like usually if it's a co-ed show, you have to find like a female weigh-in, and like nobody seems to have it organized for females yet. And so it's kind of a mess. But yeah, when you go to Atlanta, it's at a nice place. Everybody's there just to see female fights, which is amazing. It's been be my third time going, and it's been a blast every year. So I'm super looking forward to it. And yeah.
How's the camaraderie when it comes to women competing in boxing? Do you find yourself walking into a room and you got people looking around trying to see if they can size you up, or is it all love?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. I think before you fight, it's all kind of like, okay, hey, like, can I beat this person? But after a fight, I've never had anybody like you rude, or you win, you lose, you hug, and then you kind of figure out. It's kind of nice to talk to your opponents afterwards and be like, hey, like, where have you, who have you fought? And, because the 112 weight class is a little bit smaller in general. So just kind of know to who you can fight next and who's good. And yeah, so it's I think, good camaraderie. But I think before a match, it's kind of like, a little bit of nerves, a little bit of thing. But yeah, it's all very sportsmanlike, I guess.
Yeah. And how do you feel about like women boxers getting into MMA? Like, is that something that you would entertain or no?
I don't think for me. I think it's a great, way to get more fights, or just kind of do a whole new craft. But yeah, I love boxing so much, and so that's kind of right now my main focus. I have done some jiu-jitsu. It's been a while since I've trained that, but I do have 2 stripes on my belt, so it was something that maybe I was like, well, let's see how that goes. It's just hard to do both and be good at both. And so I guess kind of me being, a little bit of perfectionist, I'm like, man, if I'm not, killing it in jiu-jitsu, then it's like, man, I might as well just throw all my thing into boxing just to be extra good, I guess, at one thing that you do versus kind of being, split that up between ground game and stand up. And but never say never,
You're right. Did you play sports in high school?
I did cheerleading in high school, did tumbling throughout, like as a kid, I did tumbling for years and years and years. And then that kind of brought me into cheerleading. Loved it. We were a school that did stunts. And so it was kind of more of it was definitely a physically, challenging sport. And then, yeah, I hadn't really done much, and until boxing. So it's been a few years since I did sport.
Has anyone in your family fought at all?
No, I'm kind of the first one.
And that's awesome. That is awesome. Well, I want to thank you, for coming on the show with me, just, telling me about everything that's going on with you. Do you have anything that you would like to promote right now that people would know?
Yeah, I guess I just like to throw out there, my coach, Jose Campos. Like I said, he's a great coach. Many thanks to him for pushing me even into my first fight and keeping me interested and keep me focused and, all that. Can't do it without, your village. And that's definitely part of mine. As far as my sponsors, Scott Johnson with Twin J, he does great about, getting us what we need. And, he's giving me trunks and, always making sure that we have, look and fly and looking, like boxers. So huge shout out to him. And then, I guess just like Ryan Jensen for having, he's the owner of Premier and having a great place to train and, hiring great coaches and that sort of thing. So those are my people.
Okay.
Or, your friends who are there for you in the wins and the losses. And, my husband traveled everywhere with me. And so has my mom. So it's just nice to have those people like, all right, you're going to Atlanta, let's go too. So, you can't discount those people either.
That's dope. Yeah. Shout out to your family for sticking, by you in this. Shout out to your husband. I know he's going crazy. Well, I want to thank you again, Melanie, for coming on, allowing me to talk to you. Anytime that you want to come on again, talk about a fight or anything, you just let me know. We'll make it happen.
Well, thanks for so much for having me.
No problem. Listen, y'all, this is Melanie Timko. Y'all better watch out. She's going to be a champion someday for sure. This is Happy Hour with Lito.